Accounting equation and Excel. Bill or invoice for hourly services of staff, setting up items and entering billable time, which you might also call invoiceable time. Get ready and some coffee because we're about to learn the accounting foundation, the accounting equation, using Excel. First, a word from our sponsor. Yeah, actually, we're sponsoring ourselves on this one because apparently the merchandisers, they don't want to be seen with us. But that's okay, whatever. Because our merchandise is better than their stupid stuff anyways. Like our crunching numbers is my cardio product line. Now, I'm not saying that subscribing to this channel, crunching numbers with us, will make you thin, fit, and healthy or anything. However, it does seem like it worked for her. Just saying. So, subscribe, hit the bell thing, and buy some merchandise so you can make the world a better place by sharing your accounting instruction exercise routine. If you would like a commercial-free experience, consider subscribing to our website at accountinginstruction.com or accountinginstruction.thinkific.com. Here we are in Excel. If you don't have access to this workbook, that's okay because we basically built this from a blank worksheet but started in a prior presentation. So if you want to build this entire worksheet from a blank sheet, you may want to begin back there or just construct your own worksheet as we go, or possibly just follow along with good old paper and pencil. If you do have access to this workbook though, 4 tabs down below: example, month 1, practice, month 2, example, in essence, answer key. Month 1, prior month of operations, the practice tab having pre-formatted cells so you can practice the practice problem with less Excel formatting. Month 2, the tab that we will be working in, current month of operations, obviously, is where we started out with a blank worksheet but are basically working within a template at this time. However, we will be adding to that template as needed as we go, practicing our Excel tools and formatting as we do so. Let's go to the example tab to get an idea of what we will be doing, remembering we're basically making our bookkeeping system with the help and use of the good old accounting equation, it acting as, in essence, our trial balance from which we will construct our financial statements, that being the balance sheet, the income statement, the statement of equity. Remembering the income statement basically can also be called the profit and loss report. So we're on the end of month number 2 here, and now we want to imagine a scenario that is similar to a job cost system, but not in a construction area, in a service type of area. So most of the time, if we think of a job cost kind of system, we usually start thinking of construction, where we have a longer term, possibly job that's going to have an extended period of time, which adds added complications to the revenue recognition principles. And we have to apply out the costs to the jobs and so on and so forth. It's a little bit easier, but similar concepts when you have a service type of company. And the classic examples here are a law firm, a bookkeeping firm, a CPA firm, typically set up as a partnership. Each of the partners possibly having, in essence, their own clients, sharing, in essence, the staff, the hours of the staff who work on the different clients that they have to basically bill for. So what we have here then is a situation that we need the staff, even if they are paid on a salary basis, meaning we don't really need to track their hours in order to calculate how much we pay them. We do need to track their hours, possibly to kind of double check that they're doing the work and whatnot, but also because we want to be able to bill for the time that they are doing. And that's going to be our primary kind of concern in those types of systems. So you can imagine what would be happening. They do work in a law firm. Staff is working on the projects for different clients and whatnot. And they have to somehow record all that information, the work that they are doing for those multiple clients in some way. So periodically, the partner, possibly weekly, possibly bi-weekly, possibly monthly, can then bill the clients, meaning the billing is actually happening after the work was done, which can still cause a timing issue that we will talk more about when we get to our adjusting entries. For now, we want to think about how we're going to enter that billable time information, comparing what we can do here in our double entry accounting system within our Excel to the system that we would have possibly in a QuickBooks or a Xero or something like that. So the first thing we're going to need then is the staff to somehow be entering the time. Again, not necessarily so that we can calculate the payroll from it, but so that we can bill the clients for it. Now, you might have that integrated into your software system, meaning QuickBooks has some pretty fancy types of tools where you can actually have them email them an invitation possibly, and they're able to enter their time possibly weekly or job by job that will then integrate into the system so that we'll have it in our system, and it will be similar to us making like an expense form, but making it billable, meaning if that is entered properly, we can then take that hourly information that hasn't recorded any journal entry related to it, but we can run a billable report from it and then basically convert those into our invoices that we can then send out. However, you might also just do it externally. You might just do it like just in Excel. You could just say, hey, here's a list of our clients. Here's a list of the jobs that we need to do. You need to list out on a weekly or monthly basis all of the work that you've done on a day-by-day basis and the clients that you've worked on and the job that you did, so that we can then turn around and take that information and construct our invoices from it, which we could just basically do manually possibly if once we get the Excel worksheets or whatever format that they are in. So it really depends on how complex of a system that you want for your billing process and how integrated you need it or want it to be into, say, like a QuickBooks system or something like that. But at minimum, it might look like something like this. So we're just going to have our little worksheet here. We're going to say, here's the days of the week. And then there's two things of relevance here. If this is our client, this is our customer, Adam Hamilton, I need to know the client that Adam worked on at minimum, and I possibly need to know the job that was done. And the job is needed because of two possible reasons. One, I'd like to put on the invoice what was done. Obviously, I can't just say, well, Adam Hamilton worked on your stuff, unless they do the same thing all the time. If it's guitar lessons, like we are imagining here, we could just say, well, yeah, it's just he did guitar lessons, obviously. But if it's in a CPA firm or a law firm, you got to say, well, he worked on this particular job or he did this particular type of activity. And then the other reason is that we need to bill the client based on some kind of billing rate. This is a choice that we can make. We could make the billing rate based on who did the work, meaning Adam, if he's a senior staff, we bill people for the work that he does at a higher rate, possibly putting him on tasks that are more difficult then to justify that higher rate. And then other staff members, we might put a lower rate. In this case, Erica's more senior, has a higher rate. But we also might say that I don't care who works on it, I care about the task. I might be billing based on the task. So that means that I need to know who worked on it, possibly for internal purposes for the worksheet, but I'm going to set up my service item. The billable rate is going to be based on what they did. And in software terminology, we often call those items. Those are going to be our billable items. The items are kind of like the thing that we set up that's going to have a set rate for it, which we can easily use for data input to populate the invoice. So that's going to be the basic layout. So we're just going to make our worksheets here that we can then construct our billable items from for, in essence, this second month of operations. All right, let's go to the month 2 tab over here and do that. So I'm going to go up to the top. I'm going to go all the way to the right and see if we can find some space over here to make our billable sheets. So we did this over here for last month. Let's put month 1 up top. This was month 1, January. I should probably put instead. I'll make that red and white up top. And then I'm going to say down here, we're going to have month 2. Month 2. Maybe I should put this, it shouldn't be like connected to it. Maybe I'll put that like up here. All right. And then month 2, I'll make that red and white so we can see it. And then I'm going to have the same formatting, but we'll make it a little bit different here. So up top, we were kind of just generally saying what they did here. Now, the analogy we're going to make to like a law firm or a bookkeeping firm, for us, a guitar seller, is that these people do guitar lessons. So we have Adam and Erica, our guitar teachers, and we need to track their time, not so much so we can pay them, but so that we can bill the clients. And so we're going to treat that kind of similar to a law firm. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it down here. Pasting it, let's just paste it normal. And then I'm going to say this is going to be Adam first. I'll put Adam first this time. Hamilton. Okay. And then we're going to say Adam Hamilton guitar lessons. I'm putting GL, which makes me think of the general ledger, but it stands for guitar lessons in our case. I'm going to unfreeze the panes because this frozen pane is not helping me right now. So I'm going to go to the View tab, freeze panes, unfreeze the panes. Okay, so then I'm going to delete the data input that's currently in there for this week of operations. And I'm going to say that Jones worked on... So we're going to say on I'm just making generic customers now. Customer 1. I lost my creativity. I can't even come up with names anymore. I'm getting tired. So we're going to say he worked on customer 1 on Monday for 2 hours, on Wednesday for 2 hours. That comes out to a total of 4 hours. I'm going to put zeros across the board in between. Now, remember that because there's only one job of guitar lessons here, then I only need to break out by customer because they're only doing one thing. If there were multiple things that he was doing, then I would also need another column saying this is what he actually did, right? And then if you were in a practice of a law firm or CPA firm, you would want to have a set list of things that are done so that it's not just, I mean, he could just kind of describe what he's doing, but it's normally best to try to put a set list of things, categories that you are working on, and possibly use those categories as the items that you're going to bill, have the rate based on those items rather than basically who did the work. Or you can even have some combination. Now, I just want to point out in practice, in both law firms and CPA firms, there is a trend to try to get away from this hourly billing type of situation and say, hey, look, I'm going to bill you based on a service item or service contract. In other words, if you're a bookkeeper, you might say something like, I'm going to bill not on how much time that I spent, but on the number of transactions that I have. And so in that way, it's more concrete because the billable hours often can fluctuate wildly and people are a little bit distrustful of them sometimes. Whereas if you say, hey, look, I'm going to bill you, if I have so many transactions in the system, I will run you a report of how many transactions we did this month and I bill based on those transactions. That's a little bit more concrete. That would be nice. Sometimes law firms will say, hey, look, I'm going to give you coverage of a law service, kind of like insurance. And, if you don't need the law services, then you're paying kind of like for insurance that we're going to support you in the case of a lawsuit or something. And then if you get into troubles, that's going to be high hours for us, but we'll have some kind of constant package rate. I think is a trend that people are liking in some areas. But if you're in a law firm and you're taking on jobs and you have no idea how much time it's going to take, then you basically have no other option in those cases than an hourly rate because you really don't know how long it's going to take because every job is unique, right? But I'm going to say this is 75 rate for Adam. I'm going to copy this same thing down and we'll put this down here and then we'll say this is going to be Erica. So Erica, this time I'm going to change her rate this time. Erica, for the guitar lesson, her guitar lesson rate, we're going to say this time is 115 because she's a professional. Oh, wait, Adam also had customer number 2, and he worked here on Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to say. And then I'll put zeros across the board. Let's just highlight the days that there's time in it. So we could see that. Let's make that light green. We'll make it dark green, or let's make it light green so I don't have to change it to white. So we have that. Now, notice that if they worked more than 2 hours, like if they did these 4 hours, if he worked 4 hours on Monday for this particular customer, then we would have to put 2 columns for the Monday, because the customers would be on the, I'd have to put two rows. So if customer 2, even though it would be in the same column, would be on a different activity. And also, if it was a different job, you have a similar situation, right? You'd say, okay, on Monday, I can't put all of my hours on one area of the Monday because now I either had a different customer and or even the same customer but a different job, which again would warrant another row that I would have to put in place. So I'd have to sum up all the activity that happened basically, on Monday. So for example, this 2 right here could have been over here, right? So I couldn't have put 4 up top. I would have to have a new row in order to say it was a different client that was still worked on in Monday. So in other words, the timesheets look pretty simple, but they're actually somewhat complex, right? Once you start thinking about the different options that could come into play. I mean, they're not too bad, but they're like you have to think a little bit about how you're going to set up your timesheets. All right, so then we have customer 4, and we're going to do the same thing on Tuesday, Thursday, 4 hours. Guitar lessons, Control Z, wait a sec, 4 hours on Tuesday and Thursday. Put zeros across the board. I'll make these green so we can see them. All right, so there are the hours for Erica, which we're going to bill out at a rate of $115. Now, if this was integrated into a software like QuickBooks, again, they might be able to do this themselves, populating the timesheet, which would then pull into the accounting system. However, it would not yet be recording any transaction, and we could use it for payroll, but also our concern here is to use it to invoice. So it would be able to, we'd be able to run a report or look at the subledger area for the customers and say, hey, look, this is time that we have spent on the customer that you have not yet billed. And then we can use that to convert and create a bill, which in accounting software, that's where the items come in. The system needs to know not just the number of hours that were worked, but how you're going to bill those items. And those are usually what we call the billable items that are going to go into the invoice. So we might make a billable item called Adam Hamilton guitar lessons at $75, or if there were multiple jobs, then we might just basically take Adam Hamilton's work, but then make the service item related to it, whatever he did, right? Whatever job he did would be the service item we would want to pull in. Okay, and so that's going to be the general idea with the timesheets, but we can also have the timesheets, again, just in Excel. They could just give us these timesheets and we're like, okay, here's your guitar lessons. I'm just going to take those and then make an invoice with it, making the invoice for customer 1, 4 hours, listing out who did the work and what the work was done, guitar lessons in our case, and customer 2 for Adam Hamilton guitar lessons, and then customer 3, guitar lessons for Erica, billed out $115 for 4 hours, and customer 4, once again for Erica. So we'll actually bill those out next time based on this timesheet.